1,000 sisters. Tammy Slaton speaks out after sister's tragic death. There was a stillness in the Slaton household, not the careful, reconciled calm after a storm, but the thick, unbreathable hush that follows the worst kind of heartbreak. Grief had come calling again, uninvited and merciless, and it left Tammy feeling like she was drowning in her own life. She sat in a quiet corner of her home in Dixon, Kentucky, scrolling through her phone with fingers that trembled. The news had already spread. Her cousin, Katie Slaton, had died. The words "passed away" appeared in posts and tributes across social media, but they felt abstract, detached from reality. It was too sudden, too final. Katie had been part of their story, a face in the supporting cast of 1,000 sisters, a presence in their lives. And now, she was gone. Tammy had always been someone who struggled to fully express her grief publicly. But this time, the world would see her speak. On August 25, 2025, Katie Slaton died at 37, after battling stage 4 gastric adenocarcinoma, a rare and aggressive stomach cancer. The news was confirmed by Amanda Halterman, Tammy and Amy's sister, via Instagram. "My little cousin went to sit at the feet of Jesus yesterday. She was a force to be reckoned with, the life of the party and my best friend." In her post, Amanda asked for prayers, for Katie's children, her partner, and for strength for the rest of the family. Tammy saw it. She read Amanda's heartbreak, the raw anguish, the words of someone bearing a loss too vast for language. Just weeks earlier, Tammy had been active in supporting Katie's fight. At the beginning of 2025, Katie was diagnosed and began chemotherapy. Tammy had publicly asked fans for donations to help with medical bills. "If anyone can help, even if it's $1 would help my cousin out so much," she wrote. That was Tammy's way. When closeness isn't enough, she tries to do something tangible. She gave, she prayed, she asked, she hoped. But this time, hope was not enough. 4 days after Katie's passing, Tammy was quiet online. She disappeared from TikTok, paused Instagram stories, and left her thousands of followers waiting. Then, suddenly, she returned with a video. Simple, understated, but heavy with unsaid emotion. Sitting in her car beside her fiancé, Andrea Dalton, Tammy laughed at something Andrea said. They danced, made faces at the camera, smiled through tears, and Todd Logan's Footloose played softly in the background. It was not a denial of grief, but a fragile attempt at connection, to the world, to herself, and to Andrea. In the caption, Tammy simply tagged Andrea. The video had the quality of a snapshot in the middle of sorrow. It was a choice, to let something alive and light exist in a moment of darkness. Some saw it as defiance. Some saw it as survival. For Tammy, it was both. In that return, she made a subtle statement. Her silence would not be permanent. She would speak, but in her own time. Grief is a maze in which memory is both guide and trickster. Tammy found herself haunted by snapshots of Katie's smile, the sound of her voice, laughter in the kitchen, the weight of everyday life where they existed together. Regret followed. The words unsaid. The moments passed over, the offers of help not extended enough, or too late. She asked herself, did I do enough? Did I pray hard enough? Did I say the right things? Every yes in her mind was met by a but. The but of distance, of reality, of human limitation. Tammy's life had always been complicated by her own struggles. The weight that nearly killed her, the surgeries, the emotional chaos, her fragile health, her past, all of it crowded her world, at times bleeding into how well she showed up for others. She remembered when Katie had appeared in 1,000 sisters, helping after Tammy left rehab. She recalled that time she had asked fans for help. And she recalled the day she got Amanda's post, the finality of it. Now, as the world watched, Tammy had to reconcile how to speak publicly without betraying private grief, how to honor Katie, comfort her family, and live beyond the shadow of sorrow. When Tammy finally spoke more explicitly, she did so with tenderness. In interviews, when she agreed, and through social media posts, she expressed heartbreak, gratitude, faith, and love. She thanked fans for their support, saying they mean the world. She spoke of Katie as the life of the party, someone who showed love that was accepting and given freely. She shared her belief that Katie was ushered home by grandparents and friends who had died, a comforting image in the face of loss. She asked for prayers for Katie's children and family. Please pray for the babies and for Natalie to be strong. Notably, Tammy never cast her grief as a contest or a performance. She admitted to moments of numbness, confusion, and heartbreak. She allowed silence in places where words failed. In one public post, she referenced the years of their shared struggles, the weight loss journeys, the public glare, the emotional burden, and how Katie had been there. In gentle tones, she acknowledged the tragedy was part of a larger tapestry of hardship, but Katie's life was more than her suffering. Tammy's voice was raw, but not brittle. In letting it tremble, she affirmed she was still standing. The Slaton family has long been subject to scrutiny, by the cameras of 1,000-pound sisters, by social media critics, by fans who feel invested in their journey. Their lives have been laid bare: weight struggles, medical crises, internal conflict, relational tensions. In this moment, the family was fractured by grief. Amanda's heartbreak, Amy's internal processing, Tammy's burden, Katie's partner and children in mourning. The Slaton home had always had drama, as any family does, but the weight of death amplifies every fault line. Tammy acknowledged that the family would never be the same. She asked for forgiveness, for moments of distance, for emotional withdrawal, for being humanly imperfect. At times, she leaned on faith, that Katie was now at rest, in peace, and that those left behind would find strength in the wreckage. Faith has often been a refuge in the Slaton narrative. Tammy has spoken about spiritual belief, redemption, and the weight she carried on her shoulders. In grief, faith becomes both solace and question. Why her? Why now? But she clung to belief that love transcends loss. She also leaned on those closest to her: Andrea, her fiancé, her immediate family, fans who left messages of comfort and support. When the nights were dark, she allowed herself to receive. She allowed people to speak Katie's name, to send prayers, to share memories. It was in those shared remembrances that Katie's life became more palpable, and grief felt less isolating. Being a public figure complicates mourning. Every word Tammy utters is dissected online. Every silence is interpreted. Every post is weighed for motive or authenticity. She has learned that grief cannot be controlled or cleaned up for optics. It is messy, uneasy, unpredictable. Some fans criticized her silence immediately after the news. Why hadn't she spoken earlier? Others praised her vulnerability. Some speculated about the timing of her TikTok return. Social media is seldom gentle. But Tammy's response, though not flawless, sought integrity. She did not rush statements. She did not post excessively. She held back when words failed. She let grief have space. She also refused to warp her mourning into a spectacle. She did not monetize Katie's death. She did not run to press for sensational interviews. She held her boundaries. In doing so, she quietly asserted that grief is not a commodity. As days turned into weeks, Tammy's public voice became steadier. She began to plan tributes, a memorial, posts of old photos, storytelling about funny moments. She encouraged fans to share their memories of Katie. She paid attention to Katie's children. She spoke of what she wanted them to remember: the laughter, the love, the small gestures that often say the most. Tammy committed herself to preserving Katie's legacy, not just as the cousin who died, but as a woman who lived, loved, laughed, and was loved in return. At the same time, Tammy confronted her own healing. Grief therapy, prayer, quiet reflection, allowing tears, letting silence wash over her, these became tools she accepted. She recognized that part of honoring Katie was caring for herself, so she could remain present for family, for her own life, for the show, for the future. She also recognized that healing does not mean forgetting. She vowed never to forget Katie's smile, voice, presence. But she also vowed to live, to make choices, find joy, embrace love, even amid sorrow. When 1,000-pound Sisters returns to production, the weight of Katie's absence will likely be felt on camera. The empty chair, the unspoken "we miss you," the quiet corners of gaze. But Tammy will speak, not for shock, not for sympathy, but for truth. Her public voice after loss will continue to evolve. Sometimes shaky, sometimes bold, sometimes quiet, but always rooted in love, memory, faith. In speaking out, softly, authentically, Tammy shows that tragedy does not silence a life, it changes its cadence. Grief becomes another rhythm, weaving in among the breaths and days that follow. And though the pain will echo, the love, and the voice, can keep rising. If you like, I can convert this into a more journalistic article, or shorten or expand. Do you want me to turn it into a 1,000-word summary or a news-style write-up?